is Chris McMillan, and I did the relation of alcohol and education. I'm going to tell you why certain ways of education are better than others. Okay. Promoting effective teaching and increasing education regarding the harmful effects of irresponsible alcoholic consumption that would decrease the damage to the future. Okay, and also just a few quick facts. I will say that alcoholic consumption has gone down over the past decade, but that doesn't mean that, they're still at pretty significant numbers. The next slide is going to show what they are. So, okay, one more time, there we go. 37% of 8th graders have consumed alcohol at least once in their life, and 72% of 12th graders have tried it. And within the past 30 days, high schoolers, 42% have drank some, 24% have gone binge drinking, which is 5 drinks of alcohol consumed, and there are different proportions for wine, liquor, beer, and 10 drove after drinking alcohol, which is not good. Okay? Okay, how many people had DARE in elementary school? Or middle school, okay? Yeah, well, it teaches children the dangers of alcohol and the prevalence in the world. And the thing is that they did a study on it, and with over 1,500 students, it showed that there is no statistically significant main effects on drug or alcohol use behaviors. And it says even fewer effects on attitudes or changing, it didn't actually change their opinions on it. So, go one hit once. So yes, was not very successful. Okay. Life skills training teaches kids in grades 7 and 9 about different skills, resisting social influences to drink alcohol, and it really does put enhancement of general competence and knowledge in social situations. Also, it's successful. It has been proven through studies that long-term effects among 12th grade students showed significant lower rates of weekly drinking, heavy drinking, and getting drunk than did control students. So that's a check. Yeah. Okay. Health class utilizes some scare tactics that pretty much show alcohol as always in a negative connotation, which is not effective. And they exaggerate the dangers of alcohol, which leads to a loss of credibility, because they'll say something like, everyone who drinks is going to get drunk and either have alcohol poisoning or get in a crash. And what it leads to is that kids see their parents or someone else get drunk, and then they say, wait, they didn't die from this. And so that person who does have a lot of good information will lose credibility in the eyes of their peers. Okay? So that's a no. Project Northland took place in Minnesota, and it's a school and community-based intervention to delay and reduce alcohol use and related problems. And it includes a lot of peer leadership and just everyone taking up a bigger role. And it also emphasizes parents having a bigger role in their kids' discussions, and they kind of explain to them the problems with over-drinking. And yeah, it talks about how first 3 years, grades 6 through 8, it significantly lowered the prevalence of past month, past week alcohol use. Check. Okay, and the total differences is effective programs use parental involvement, peer leadership, and they actually provide accurate, truthful, and unbiased information about alcohol that nobody would disagree with, such as binge drinking can lead to alcohol poisoning, which could result in death, and differentiates between alcohol use and abuse, because there is a difference between I've had family members that will drink a few beers and it's fine, and there's a difference between that and drinking 10 shots of vodka, and I've also seen that. Okay? Ineffective programs use scare tactics and simplicity such as just say no, which Nancy Reagan invented that saying, and it's not a good idea because it makes it seem like it's really easy to say no to alcohol. All you got to do is just say no, and it's not always that simple. And it overstates the prevalence and exaggerates its dangers, creating a lack of credibility. It overstates prevalence as in, if someone says 90% of the world is going to get drunk, or some statistic like that, that's not going to make the kid feel very good, and it's going to seem kind of over the top, so they think it's kind of normal. So, and then that's my works cited. And any questions? I'm sure there are a few. Yes.
So, like in your research, when you came across the one that was successful, could you tell us like a little more about that? I'm just kind of curious, about like specifically what would be done, or like what would be done differently.
So say for example Project Northland, it's going to have a lot more like interactive with the parent. The parents are going to talk about maybe like their personal experiences with alcohol, and they're going to talk about the importance of moderation, and also it's going to have to do a lot with peer leadership, as in there are going to be some kids that do take leadership, and they're going to say like, well, it is important for me to set an example, and because let's face it, at Providence, I'm sure there have been some kids that are leaders, and every Saturday night they go and get drunk. So that it is really important to set good standards and leadership. And other ways it's different is it doesn't use the other things, and it doesn't over-exaggerate like effects. And part of my research paper was on the effects of alcohol, but I just didn't see a lot of relevance, especially when looking into the education further. It shows that saying stuff like that actually doesn't prove to be as effective, like talking about like Korsakoff's psychosis and things like that that could result from alcohol. Was that an apt way of answering, or was that kind of...
Yeah, no, that was really interesting.
Okay. Any other questions?
So you're saying, going into all the details about the negative effects of alcohol and the long-term effects wasn't relevant to young people because they're saying, so when you're 50 years old or 40.
Put it off, and they say, well, that's not me. And so, especially alcoholism, 29,000 people die every year from cirrhosis, which is scarring of the liver. And also, alcohol, I believe, is number 2. It's the second most people die from it besides heart disease, I believe, which is pretty substantial. About 77,000 people die a year from alcohol in the U.S. So, I mean, that's small town. That's Wyoming's population. Actually, no. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Okay.
Turn that recorder
off.
off.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay, so I don't know how much of this you're willing to say in front of your parents, but having done this as your topic and learning all that you have, has that made you more or less likely to get drunk, or to say something to your friends if they're gonna go get drunk or drink and drive?
I have never tasted alcohol in my life, and I don't think I'm going to, besides maybe like a beer later in life. And yeah, I do enjoy it a lot because like if I ever do see a friend or someone that is going to go drink, I do have a lot of information that I can tell them that suggests that's not a very good idea. And I mean, also, to answer your early question, it just came into my head, those projects focus a lot more on legal consequences instead of physical. So they say like, well, it's not a good idea because this, and this would happen to you if you got caught drinking and driving, or just drinking in general underage. So that also is more effective because they can visualize that a lot more than saying, oh, 30 years from now I could die from this. They aren't really thinking about that. Yes?
So how are you going to take like the information that you've learned from this and put it back to your like experience at Providence? Like, how do you think it's going to impact your life? Other than, because it sounds like you've already decided like, no, I'm not going to drink. But what do you think you can do like in Providence High School because of like knowing all this now about your project?
Well, in my future, I do want to be a doctor, like some significant influences. But I could use that definitely. And also, I don't know, it really does help a lot with friendships at Providence. Like, I mean, I know some of my friends have gotten drunk, and it really does kind of pain me to hear about that. And so it does offer me a way to reach out to them. And also, it really was a lot of help because I had always thought, like, I don't see why kids do it when there's all this information saying, like, all the bad stuff that could happen from alcohol, when I found out that that's not a very effective way of presenting information. But at Providence, I guess, I was thinking about teaching a phys ed / health class, but thought that would be kind of awkward. And then I was thinking about doing it at Young Life, and I was like, that's not a good idea. So, and then Raksha told me about Coach, and I was like, yeah. So I thought that would be a good opportunity. So yeah. Yes.
So okay, so you're not gonna drink until like later in life. So you've already decided that. So I think it's actually cool that you're that firm about your beliefs. But I know that in Providence's culture, it's probably not like the coolest thing to say to your friends. Like, I'm not gonna drink until later in life ever, and I've never tasted alcohol. So like, do you ever feel social pressure to drink? And then if you do, like, if someone is like if someone's sort of, maybe shaming you for not drinking or anything like that, what sort of like response do you have to that, and like what's the most effective way that you deal with that?
Well, if someone ever, not many people have ever asked me to drink or do drugs or anything because, I don't know, maybe I just project kind of attitude that suggests that I wouldn't do it. So, but I mean, in response to that, I'd probably say, well, I just don't think it's a good idea, and I would say, like, what good is it to go do something that you're going to forget about, and you're going to throw up a lot, and you're going to regret it, and it's not going to end up being a positive experience. So I would probably mention that. I don't see a lot of positives coming out of drinking in general, but I'm a very consumed beverage. Yes, sir.
Mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not an instrument either. Okay?
At what point do you want to stop recording?
Now, please.